So there's a bunch of gun rights groups in America that are just performance art. They just take your money. They don't really do anything. I count the NRA, the National Rifle Association, as one of them. The NRA does not really fight in court for your Second Amendment rights. But there are organizations that do. They're in the trenches fighting in the federal courts. The Firearms Policy Coalition is one of those. Great organization. And they've just filed a suit challenging the constitutionality of the National Firearms Act. So there are basically two giant federal level gun control laws. The Gun Control Act of 1960 something, of 1968. And that set up things like FFLs, federal firearms licensees. Before the Gun Control Act, you could order firearms in the mail and have them shipped to your house. You didn't have to go to a gun store. You could buy guns across state lines. You know, it's things that criminals do every day today. We used to be able to do also, but they made it illegal with the Gun Control Act of 1968. But the NFA, the National Firearms Act of 1934, it's the federal law that did things like make it very costly and inconvenient to own machine guns, to own suppressors, to own short-barreled rifles. And it was in response to the gangster era of the 1920s, right? So instead of saying we're attacking laws against suppressors or we're attacking laws against machine guns, they're going after the entire National Firearms Act. You may have heard in the recent Big Beautiful Bill, they were trying to get suppressors off the NFA list. So just targeting suppressors and targeting short-barreled firearms off the list. So normally when they're on the list, the way they are today, if you want to buy a suppressor, it's $500, $600 to buy a suppressor. But before you can own it, you have to pay $200 in tax to the ATF and wait a year to get permission to pick it up. That's how inconvenient they make it. You're allowed to own it. So they're not saying it's so evil you can't have it. You're allowed to have it. They're just going to make you jump through all these hoops. So we were trying to get suppressors off the NFA that would do away with this administrative process and the $200 tax. We weren't able to do that. What they did was they lowered the tax to $0, which is better, but you're still on the registration list. You still have to do the paperwork. You still have to wait a year. Instead of getting things removed off the NFA, why don't we eliminate the NFA entirely? How about that? Then there's no paperwork. Then there's no tax for any of this nonsense.